I would like to locate all records in this list that occur in this list. Notice that both list 1 and list 2 have the exact same column styles, the exact same amount of columns, and the exact same column headings and type of data in each column. I will use the match function to make this happen. The match function returns the ordinal position of one record in list 1 as it occurs in its position in list 2. To demonstrate this, I'm going to come up here and click on a cell right next to the last column in list 2. Now I'm going to employ the array formula keyboard shortcut to make this all happen in memory. So we're going to use a special set of keyboard shortcuts to make this happen. Let's start by typing in my formula. I'm going to type in equals match, and you at home might want to come up and watch this in my formula bar up here. I'm going to come back and I'm going to start by telling the match function which cells in this first table that I want to match against the record cells in the second table here. So I'll start by coming out here and clicking on this cell, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the ampersand to concatenate it with this cell, then another ampersand, and then this cell, and then another ampersand, and then this cell, and then a comma. The match function is looking for a lookup value. Now, normally you would just use one cell in the match function, but we're going to employ an array formula so we can use several at once and check it against several records at once on the other side instead of doing just one at a time. Next, the match function wants to find the lookup array that it's going to go ahead and search these values against. Now, normally it would just be a single column, but since I'm using multiple fields, I can use multiple columns and measure each field against each column record to record to record in the second table. And I can do this because of the array formula. So I'm going to start by coming out here and clicking on the first cell of the first column, matching the first column over here, and I'm going to use a shortcut key to select this instead of dragging down because this list could be fairly large. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a Control-Shift down arrow, and it selects that range of values. Next, I'm going to insert an ampersand. I'm going to come out, click on my next cell, do a Control-Shift down arrow, do an ampersand, click on the top of the next column cell, do a Control-Shift down arrow and an ampersand. Click on the top cell of the next column, Control-Shift down arrow, and I'm not going to do an ampersand this time. I'm going to go ahead and do a comma, and then lastly it's looking for a match type. That is, if you want to find an exact match or not something close. We want to find an exact match, so we're just going to set this up as 0 and then go ahead and finish this with a close paren. Now, another very important step here, I need to come out to my formula, and in between the last parameter and the first parameter I need to select all of those values. That is, I need to set up all the values that are going to be used in my lookup array. So look for the commas in the formula, and you want to grab everything in between the two columns, and that's the two commas, and that's just this middle lookup array. And I'm going to go ahead and press my F4 key once. That is my function F4 key, and that will turn those all into absolute references so that when I go from row to row to row, it will stay fixed on those values and they won't update as the formula calculates down. I am finished here. I'm going to use the magic of array formulas here by holding down the Control, Shift, Enter, and it comes out here and it notices that Nancy DeVolio's tofu record here doesn't occur anywhere in this list. Now, one more time, what this is doing is it's grabbing these values in these fields and it's concatenating them all together and measuring them against this record, then this record, then this record, all the way down the list. And if it doesn't find it, it returns the not apply symbol. Next, I'd like to copy the array formula all the way down this list. So I can come out to my array formula here, and on the little handle in the bottom right corner, I'm just going to double click, and it fills all the way down. And I can see where my not apply symbols occur. Now, what do these numbers represent? These numbers represent the ordinal position in this table where that record occurs. For instance, I see that Nancy DeVolio Grandma's Boysenberry spread here is in record 1 of this list, and sure enough, if I come over and look over here, that's where it is. I come over here, I see that Andrew Fuller has a record here in ordinal position 2, and sure enough, that's where this record lives. So all the way down we can see where those occur. Now I'm not really interested in that. What I'm interested in is the values that do not occur. So this not apply symbol is what I'm really interested in here. So ideally what I'd like to do is filter out any of these records that have an actual ordinal number and just leave the not applies here. So I could come out here to any one of these and I could right click it and choose filter. I'm going to move this aside a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Right click, choose filter, filter by cell's value, and it will filter all the records out except for the records that don't occur in this list on the left hand side. Now from here I could go ahead and select this table, copy it, move over to say another sheet, and on this sheet pick a cell someplace, right click, and under paste special I'm going to choose paste number and formatting, and there's my list. So I know now that this list of values is unique and doesn't occur in the first list back over on this end. To turn off this filter, I will just come out to my Data tab and click the filter button to turn it off.